Sometimes things come up.
All right, it's 6:33 p.m. on Thursday, January 26th. I'm going to call to order the meeting of the River Plantation Municipal Utility District Board of Directors.
I don't know, can they hear us yet?
Oh, can you hear us?
Is anybody home?
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
I got you loud and clear.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. The
Okay.
video is tilted up a little bit so we can see the ceiling pretty well. We can't. There we go. Perfect.
Do you like the ceiling?
Thank you very much.
It's very nice ceiling.
Okay. I'm trying to find the agenda. Okay. First item on the agenda is to review the minutes of the meeting of the Board of Directors and approve them. Any questions on the December 14th minute, or the minutes of the December 14th meeting?
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Do I have a motion to accept them?
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Number 2, receive comments from the public. And I just had my list. Okay. Denise Horner. Oh, I'm sorry, you said no. D. Judge.
Okay, yeah, I just want to get back on the storage over at Plant 3. You know, back 15 years ago, we paid about $1 million to put the tanks up, which Richard then admitted should have been paid by the developer. So for the past 15 years, we've been with maintenance and upkeep on that plant, and I would like to know how much that is costing us every month. And we really can't make a decision on anything until we know what the numbers are. And I'd also like to say, in RP, we've got 2 million gallons of storage within this community. Now, TCEQ requires 200 gallons per connection, so with that, we've got enough for 10,000 connections. Now, I've got a question here about why we have 2 MUDs, because they're not separated by a road or waterway or anything. In fact, one house is half in East Plantation, half in RPMUD. And in our RPMUD's setup, it started in '63, and East Plantation in '69. Now, they, of course, have the water in the interconnect. We've got water in the sewer treatment plant. And the thing is, it doesn't seem that they're very neighborly. I don't know what the problem was with the interconnect last time, but we couldn't use it. We don't use it that often. It's just used for emergencies. And so I'm just kind of curious as why we've got 2 MUDs here. We only have 1,500 total connections in this community. It just seems a bit over the top. So that's it.
That's a good question.
Can I get a good answer?
I don't have an answer.
Was it from when East Plantation developed after RP did? Not by a lot of years, but
Yeah.
you'd have to go back in the history of that. I mean,
Yeah.
He knows it.
that was 20 years before
You know,
me.
Homer?
Well, it'd probably be 10 years between, before the second development in the back.
But you would have thought they would have just added on to this, but
I was told a long time ago that that RPMUD didn't want to be a part of it, so they formed the other one. But I don't know.
It was only a 6-year difference, so it's kind of strange.
I have no idea.
Homer's been here how many? 56 years.
Yeah, going almost 56. Yeah, I've seen it all.
He was just a kid when it started.
We had a downturn in, what was it, 1980, somewhere in there, and they had all of the sewer connections and everything ready to be used, and then they just shut it down. They didn't develop. So all of that went to pot. All that money that they spent to put all of that in just fell apart before they started developing again. So they had to go back and completely redo all the work they had done. And so they auspicious start to.
Oh no, I'm going to see Preston Monday. I'll ask him.
Was he around when that happened?
I have no idea.
Probably.
I have no idea. But I'll ask. So. see what I can find out. So, okay, Bernadette.
I brought a letter, for you to, read it and take a look with your board and seek counsel, and then let me know if you want to set an appointment up privately, or do you want me to stay and then invite me back into your executive meeting so I can go into more details. Robert is getting the pictures that we took just lately. We didn't have pictures from the other floods that were happening in there, but this time I went out there because I'm growing concerned. So he is bringing the pictures to go along with that letter. Is that what you said?
I don't know.
Yes,
I just,
I emailed them to you.
okay. Bernadette, I'll be honest with you, I haven't even had a chance to look
No,
at
I
this,
know
so,
that. I know that. You can take it and then contact me later on during the week or whatever. It's
Okay.
fine. And Homer turned his in because he too is becoming concerned that the water is now coming towards his property in the back. Thank you. And we both will come at the same time.
Okay, no problem. Let me look at it, I'll
Yeah.
forward it to the attorneys, and we will look at it.
Thank
We will see, because I haven't even had a chance to look at the letters, so, okay. Homer, Wilson, is it Wilson?
Yeah.
Yes,
Homer.
Homer Wilson. Okay, did you want to say something?
Well, I just want to say that it's been a problem for a long time. The lot that's being developed is the highest lot in that
Circle.
development. And so anything they do is going to make the problem worse. And so theoretically, it probably should not be developed, but I don't think you can keep them from doing it. But I would like for whatever your representatives to go and look at the problem, because it's a pretty complex problem, to come up with a solution that would be acceptable to all parties.
What is the problem?
They'll discuss it
It's,
in executive session.
we have a low area on top of the hill, and it's difficult to get everything, where everybody's gonna be happy. So, I'm
Which development are we talking about?
behind
Their
it,
circle.
so
Vantage.
it has to be in the latter stages of, say, a hurricane or something like that, for me to be involved, but I have been involved because just in this little rain, I got water that came down through our area. And so you need to study it, but you're gonna have one of your engineers come and look at it and see if he can come up with a solution.
Okay, I will look at the letters and I will forward them to the attorneys and
Okay?
see what we can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd sure like to be there when the guy comes, because I can explain a lot of stuff that might not be obvious.
I'd say talk to the engineers before you talk to the lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark?
Just a quick thing about Charleston Park, walking around, we've had it for a while, and we've talked about fixing the concrete. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on along there. The new company cutting and stuff is doing a great job, but they're not doing the best job. I'm wondering if we have somebody that's overseeing what's going on. I mean, we have one of the boxes, and I want to say it's on
I've done my thing.
Shiloh, and if you're going, it's for Biloxi to me, but there's a sprinkler box, the control box that's down on the side, and it's been there for a while. There's on 7 Charleston coming back up. They have what the golf course had was a water and a trash station. Well, there's no water and no trash. People put trash in there, but nobody's picking it up. I mean, there's a lot of little things. It's like, do we have someone that is, and I know Carl probably has gone and done the thing, but I mean, is it kind of a routine going there and making a priority list about, if nothing else, the little things?
Okay.
I mean, the big things are the big things, but there's a lot of little things that should be looked at, be easy to fix.
We'll make sure, I know Betty and Carl were doing it, but I know Betty's been kind of laid up here for a little bit, so.
Doesn't she have a motor on that thing?
I don't know.
I wish I did.
I've been working with my dad, I can get you.
Oh.
Yeah, so, yeah, and Tim's working with the, mowing company, so I'll have,
And the trash and the things she's talking about are not involved with that.
well, I know that, so,
Like I
but.
said, it's a lot, to me, a lot of little things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
but that's just not the mowing, that's the.
I
Well,
know,
and
but-
our lawn out here has become a
It
doggy,
is.
because I can see it, and so people are walking their dogs up here and
Yeah.
not picking up, so,
You know, a few little doggy stations, we put one in Belgrade Park.
yeah.
You know, you're walking around, Mark was.
There's one at
Yeah.
the sports park.
That
Right.
Yeah,
you know, place to just dump trash.
yeah,
I still think that we should have, and I know it's, if we put it, you know, some trash cans like on the two, Braxton Brags that come around, you could put some trash cans that Waste Management can come and pick them up routinely. I think it would help things out a lot.
okay.
And maybe some crosswalks, labeled crosswalks. You know,
Okay.
between when
From
you
the
pass
car pass?
one and then you cross over RP Drive, that would be a good place for, this, it doesn't have to be a light or anything, but just some signs saying it's a crosswalk and the two Braxton
Well, I
Drives,
don't know that we
ones-
can across RP
Well, you
Drive.
have, I'm sure you have to ask,
There's
County.
a cart
County.
path sign that someone pulled out of the ground, and it's up there,
Stonewall Jackson.
yeah, right by the office, and it's laying on the ground on the other side of that house that they just built.
Okay,
And it's just laying there, and someone pulled it up with the cement around it and all that.
okay.
You know, just some, to me, some
I'll get
signs.
Mario to get
Some signs that just said, I mean, it doesn't have to be anything, but, you know, paint a couple lines across and just put some signs that says it's a pedestrian crossing.
Yeah,
When
that
did
would have
Charlie's
to be the
up there,
county
right?
on the, yeah. on the
And I'm willing to go with anyone and point out, you know, what I've seen and do that.
And by the way, someone does look at those signs, because I was sitting there one day and a lady walked up to it and stood there and read the whole thing.
I still ignore the part about cigars.
Oh.
Maybe I should put one out here about please clean up after your dog,
Yeah,
so,
You should.
yeah.
most people do, but there's still some
Yeah.
piles.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you, we will look at each and every one of those, okay. Mark, do you want me to move you up so you can
Oh,
go?
whatever. I'm fine, I'm in no hurry.
Carol, can I move him up ahead of you so he can go and then you can?
Yep.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna move up the audit report, so.
Good to be with you all again. I emailed out and then handed out the draft audit report. I do provide a clean opinion on the financial statements, which is a good thing. Review the work performed by your consultant, make sure the operator is billing the proper rates to your customers, and if a tap was, that the proper is collected in advance of that. Also make sure your bookkeeper is handling your funds in accordance with your investment policy and the Public Funds Investment Act and keeping the books properly. And finally, make sure the tax assessor collector levied the tax using the proper tax rate, and that any adjustments to the property values were authorized by the appraisal district. Always have some minor adjustments in each of those areas, but nothing significant was found in the course of the audit. One item that I'm sure you're aware of, but it's the back charge to TACUS.
Yeah.
Your operators made a couple of attempts to collect that, and they haven't been successful this time. I did not record that in the financials, just the rule of conservatism. If it's something that's going to benefit the district, we're very skeptical if it is over 90 days to record it as a receivable, but that does not affect your ability to continue to pursue it. It's just whether or not we acknowledge it for the financial statements. So that was the only more reminder that I wanted to make sure I didn't let this opportunity go without mentioning. And other than that, I'd be happy to take any questions or comments anyone has on the audit report.
So when we or if we collect anything from TACUS, that would be added into next year's audit and report?
Correct.
Okay.
No, I'm first I'm looking at it, so I'm just.
If it was a liability, it would be in the report, because we always want, bad news, we always are more upfront and report everything, but if
Sure.
it's a potential receivable, if we're not really sure about it, we opt to not report.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna vote on this today, right?
It's
This is the first I've seen it.
It's due February 12th, so it will be due before your next meeting. But you could approve it pending a 7 or 10-day period to review, to ask questions and make any additional comments. Davis may appreciate that as well. I don't know if he's had a chance to review it yet. Have any comments?
No, absolutely, and that's common practice. Mark's always pretty good about checking with us on comments, so we'll review it as well. Is a week good for everybody?
Yep.
Sure.
Yep. Okay. Do I have a motion to accept it as is pending?
Yeah, I make a motion that we'll assume or we approve the audit as is, unless there's something that shows in the next few days.
Pending a week.
Pending a week.
No,
Yep.
they-
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you all for your time and attention. This is the letter you sign for me every year.
I don't even have a
Oh, let's see, which jacket do I have? I have the one with the pin,
pen. I got one.
and I will send it to Tyler Davis.
Okay.
Couldn't figure out what it was. Yeah. It was yours. Now I got a blue one, I don't know where it came from.
Blue are hard to find, so
Here's
thank
the
you.
blue.
It's good to
Here's
see
the
you.
blue
No problem.
here.
Thank you. All right. Carol, financial and bookkeeper's report.
So I have to look at the report. So if you look past the cover page, your account balances, with all funds being reported, the district has a balance of $7,449,201.53. Of course, most of that is held in your capital projects fund. Next, your cash flow for your operating fund. Just a couple things to point out. Let's see, where is it? Check 23590 is your check to TCQ for your annual regulatory assessment fee. That is based off your water sewer collections, so and that is paid out annually. So that payment is included. Julie has registered for AWBD, so you'll see check 23596 for that as well.
So the next one there, Brightview Landscape, 14,000, that seems high.
That's our, the
Yeah.
guys at
That's
Mill.
our
1
contract.
month?
That's, yeah.
And towards the bottom, you'll see the EFCPS for U.S. Treasury, so for payroll taxes. I think there's some residual payment due. Leaves a balance in your checking, $25,701.16. That's followed by your tax account with a balance of $7,701.51. Then your online account, this is your operator accounts receivable account with a balance of $142,641.86. And what we'll do is see about transferring those funds to the checking to help cover checks for next month. Your actual versus budget comparison, it looks good, nothing really to point out unless you have questions. Then the East Plantation receivable report, the last payment received was for September billing. That was received in November.
Actually, I took one to your office.
I thought, oh yes, he just had not, it had not been deposited yet, so that's
Okay.
why it's not on the report. But yes, that
Okay.
was, and that was
I
for
don't remember what day it was,
August.
but, okay. That's for August?
Oh wait, that was, there was a 6,000, it was actually for November.
Oh, okay.
No,
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 October.
it was not not that much. I have not received that October check yet.
So we're, so can you send me what we're, what they're behind, or send to Davis, because we're meeting with them Monday?
Okay, yes. I'm looking at the report right now.
It's right here.
Yeah.
And my report says
Before I knew who said it.
as of September 30th, which
Yeah.
is probably old news, it was 4
Yeah.
months behind at that time.
That- Well, yeah,
They
but that may not, that doesn't include the one that I took the other day, I don't think.
Yeah,
They being
it
assessed
shows
late
it as
fee?
receivable.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I took a check there the other day, so,
Okay, but let me find out how much that check was.
okay. I don't remember, I didn't open it,
Right,
so
right.
I didn't look at it, so.
Yeah, there was one that was June, which was like 5,900, and then there was one that was 6,278, which was July. But this could have been October, so I might just be muddying the waters even more here.
Yeah, I didn't,
And
I should have looked at it before I dropped it off, I didn't even drop it off.
Okay, I'll take a look at it as soon as I
Okay.
get back to the office tomorrow morning.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay, so next is your capital projects, cash flow,
Can we
the
go back,
balance of,
can we go back to the actual versus budget comparison?
okay.
So, I'm harping on the landscape here, I know, but, so there on expenditures, 16,145, landscape service, water, $7,455.
Do what? Which one are you looking at? It said
Expenditure,
Brightview is,
16,145,
Oh, okay.
For that?
Balance for landscape service, water.
that's water.
yeah, what does that mean?
That's for the mowing.
Okay, but we just have 14,000 in the,
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, they'd split out between.
okay, so just giving you the heads up, you are in line for conversion to the new enhanced bookkeeper report.
Okay,
So part of the bookkeeper, that new bookkeeper report, they split out total costs like garbage and landscaping into
between all
water
the
sewer.
departments.
So, right, so what you're gonna see is that's been split between the water, and if you look further down.
You have landscape service, water, landscape service, sewer.
Right, and that's it.
But there wasn't anything in the sewer.
Oh. Where did you put it?
That was 16244, there's nothing there. Budget was there, but there's no extra money there.
And just to jump in, that 14,000 was for 2 months, December and January.
it was, okay.
Yes, yes.
That would make sense.
Yeah, that's better.
Because you guys met early in
December.
December, and
Yeah.
so
Right.
it wasn't at the time. Yeah.
Right. So then we can just, the 740, 7455.
I wonder if it got put in some of the maintenance and repairs or something.
I know we had to split part of it out because it's going to be covered, by the STP. Yes, I'm thinking it was added to the maintenance and repair sewer because there's no budget, but,
Right.
and I'll talk to Mark about that. For right now, even though there's no budget for the landscape sewer, once our team makes that conversion, they're gonna split the budget between the two.
Okay.
And so we'll have a budget amount there. So that will all get fixed in the conversion. So I think that's what happened. He recorded it gets maintenance repair sewer because that's where a budget amount was,
Right.
and that's what it is. So that'll get fixed in the conversion.
We have annual pricing per facility, and that's actually broken out by site in the contract.
It would be helpful if there's someone with Brightview I could speak to, where we could, if they can break out those charges by site, so that I can be sure that, because especially with the STP, I will need the individual charge for the STP and the drainage.
You want his name and number?
Sure.
His name is Forrest.
Forrest.
Forrest Sims. His number is 346-443-0762.
And I'll also add, Carol, that in the last page of the service agreement, all of those, the scope is broken out by site with all of the individual pricing.
Okay. So I just need that reflected on the invoices, so.
Okay.
So let's see, I think. Page 10 and 11 is your cost comparison for your construction projects. You have remaining funds of $5,724,520.41. Page 14 is your debt service. Your next debt payment is March 1st, 2023.
We go back one page, I think it's one page,
On the balance sheet.
the cost comparison, River Plantation Mud Series, page 12, page 22.
Oh, that's part of the cost comparison. It's page 10 through 12.
My question is, on the very bottom there, it has $49,733.36, and it doesn't have any label on that. I don't know what that is.
That's our over, that's how much we're over or under our costs. The use of proceeds.
I will check. I think that's actually a running total we have for East Plantation's billing. I'll have to double check. I don't think that amount was supposed to be included. I think it on the Excel spreadsheet, he included it within the page, and he was supposed to leave it outside the borders.
Okay. I just wondered what it was.
I think it's a running total we have East Plantation costs. And the last, let's see, page 15 is the AWBD Midwestern Conference. Julie and Tim are registered to go, and their registration has been paid. And then the last few pages are the proposed amended budget for the operating fund. Because the budget that was approved in September included STP and drainage expenses. At the time, we weren't completely sure how to break that out. So now we have a proposed amended budget for the operating, where it's just strictly operating fund costs. That is followed by the proposed STP budgets, which will be, and its own separate fund, its own separate checking account. And then lastly, the proposed joint drainage, joint drainage budget. And what I did here is I just went back and looked at historical amounts that Richard typically budgeted for the drainage maintenance. And that's where the $36,000 comes into play. I calculated based off the invoices we have received from Brightview, and calculated what that amount annually would be. Once I see, I'll go back and look at the contract, but based on the invoices, I budgeted $5,400 for their mowing for that section.
So Carol, when the budgets are complete, you'll get those over to East Plantation. We just
I
want
can
to
do
make
that,
sure
yes. Once it's all final and approved, yes, I can send those to them.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
So the mowing of 5,400, what does that represent?
That's for Brightview mowing, just that one section of drainage that is, cost shared by East Plantation and River Plantation.
Okay, okay.
And that's why it's
And that's an
important.
that's an annual
That's
expense?
well, they're charging monthly, but that's what I've calculated, what the annual budget would be
Right.
for that
Right,
location.
okay.
And that's why it's important, those invoices break out by site, so I can be sure I'm recording the most accurate
Sure.
expense for each site. And that is your budget report.
Carol, can I have a copy? Do you have an extra
Yes.
copy?
Do I have a motion to accept the bookkeeper's report?
I make a motion, we accept the bookkeeper's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye, okay.
And I'm quiet.
Okay, be quiet tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. Eyes agrees.
Okay. Tax assessor collectors
Tax
report.
assessor, okay.
Man, I'm glad I saw that number.
Huh?
I saw that number.
So,
I hope that's
in,
not bad, I mean, that we're not gonna get more.
let's see, what's the, okay, well, in the month of December, the district collected $554,145.60. So after expenses and, some prior year, collections, the total amount, received by the district in December was $554,915.47. If you'll look on the very back page of your tax report, second to the last column, the district is 58.46% collected for its 2022 tax levy, according to the,
Remember, they're not delinquent until January 31st, so this is 30 days before delinquency. So you won't have a clear picture until next month.
Yeah.
No, but I'm good with these numbers.
Head of the game.
and yes, you should see next month another large collection amount.
Good.
And that's your tax report.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the tax assessor collectors report?
I'll make a motion that we accept the tax assessor report.
I second. Thanks. Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Mark.
All right, the investments.
I have the investments, oh, that's,
Where you did those?
okay, if you look on page 2, your Texas class is currently at 4.58%. Actually, even since this report was ran, we've seen other districts reporting 4.6, and it's continuing to go up. We should see 5% next month, possibly, or at least within the next couple months. We have come across some CDs, some banks that are willing to issue CDs at around 4.15% to 4.5% for 1 year CDs. There's not many, but there are a few. So if the district would like, now of course, again, they're only held for 1 year.
Right.
The Texas class could earn higher than 5%.
Yeah.
Before we, before that year is up.
Getting close now.
So just to clarify, the Texas class is strictly money market, it's not a CD?
Yes, it's completely liquid,
It's not.
but it's all covered, by,
We're
the state of
secure.
Texas. It's all secure.
Okay,
So,
so we don't currently have any CDs,
no, sir.
it's all money market?
It's all strictly
Okay.
money market.
Yeah, CDs are doing better than money market right
No.
Not yet.
Not,
mean,
not with the
the other
Texas
way
class, no.
now. And what's interesting, we're only paying about 3%, right? Is that what we got the bonds
Mhm.
at? So we're actually outpacing our expenses.
That's good. Okay,
Okay. Approve the investments.
I make a motion, we approve the investment report.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Payment of the district bills. Any questions on the district's bills?
No.
I'm sorry, we found all the checks, I think they're all.
Thank you. So, okay. Approve, someone make a motion to approve payment of the bills?
I make a motion that we approve the payment of the bills.
Okay. I have a second.
A second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, the resolution adopting the amended operating budget.
Okay, so we'll take a look at that budget. And again, well, as I said earlier, the primary reason for amending or approving an amended budget for the operating is the fact that we have pulled out all that STP and the drainage expenses. And in fact, the original budget approved overstated revenue a little bit because it estimated what East Plantation would be paying, but it really wasn't a true calculation because a portion of those invoices are still covered by River Plantation. On the, I don't want to get ahead of myself on here. So basically, it's pulled out those STP and the drainage, so this is just true maintenance and operations for the district. Again, the district is in line for the EBK conversion, so that's why we're trying to get things set up to make this transition smooth between the splitting it between water sewer. So we've been kind of just trying to adjust some of those account numbers and getting y'all used to seeing the split between water sewer.
So do we need to approve that?
A couple more things I'm gonna point out, because of the fact that, okay, there's gonna be a separate STP budget, a separate drainage budget. River Plantation budget, well, not really invoice, they will receive an invoice from those two funds. So you're gonna see two items on this budget, let me find it. The first one is 16251, purchase sewer service for $144,624. That is the calculation for River Plantation's share of the STP expenses. Further down, you'll see 16256, drainage expense, $23,300. That's River Plantation's share of the budgeted joint drainage. And you'll see those two amounts on the next two budgets that I discussed. In order to cover all these expenses, I am having to reflect, in order to balance the budget, the district will have to use $71,049 of prior year surplus. This doesn't affect the district. I think the district had 20 months, last time I looked, around 20 months of surplus. So the district is in a good position to use those, use some of that surplus. Okay, so that's the operating budget. The next is the proposed STP budget. And these are numbers that were originally on the operating. So the STP is billed out based off of connections. Typically, that works out to be a 60-40 split between River Plantation and East Plantation. So the revenue you'll see at the top is just basically taking that split into consideration to create a balanced budget for the STP. There will not be a net income or loss because all those invoices are billed out between the two districts. And then lastly, is similar as this STP. Let's see, we calculated about approximately $5,000 for bookkeeping for the joint drainage. prepare billing and such. And again, that's all shared costs with East Plantation. $300 for utility, I think that's just a phone line, or not phone, or internet.
Yeah.
$36,000 for maintenance and repair, $5,400 for mowing. So total expenses $46,700, and for the joint drainage, the two districts share that cost 50-50. So you'll see at the top that being reflected. The revenue is split 50-50. And again, you'll always see a zero on your you will have a separate actual versus budget comparison in your report, and it'll always reflect a zero net income because all the expenses are billed out.
Hey Davis, since that packet didn't come, I don't know if we have to do this resolution to approve. Do we need to approve to acceptance of the resolution approving these budgets?
They're in the electronic packets. You just don't have the hard, we don't have the hard copies for signature because, one, I don't remember the last time I tried to overnight something with FedEx and had it take 4 days to get there. But if that is a recurring issue, we can certainly find another way to get the documents to you. But the resolutions are in the packet and have been prepared and published on the website and everything, so they can still be approved.
Okay. So do I have a motion approving the resolution for the?
I have one more question.
Okay.
Just a detail thing. So on mine it says page 30, but that's in the electronic package. It's the River Plantation MUD GOF FYE 2023 proposed amended budget, and it's operating budget where it's got AWBD expense, membership and dues. That one. It's a short one. It's a short page.
I can tell you AWBD is the section for water board directors.
What I don't understand is what is payroll expense. I don't think we have any payroll anymore.
We do for the directors.
For the directors.
So that's only $1,000.
How much?
$1,000.
It's split.
That covers all the, that covers your withholdings, your share of the payroll taxes, and the district's share of the payroll taxes. So that's all expense.
But it's only $1,000 for the year, is that right?
Well, again, this is a rough calculation based on what was paid out last year. And we just looked at what was paid to the directors only. But yeah, that's still about right. That's just the payroll taxes, not the director fees.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
It's
As
just
I
payroll
explained,
expense.
that would be, there should be a separate line.
Okay,
For
that's
director
fine.
fees.
I understand it.
Okay.
I saw it as payroll expense. I didn't know
Right.
payroll taxes.
Right.
Okay, that's good.
So do I have?
I'll make a motion, we accept the proposed budget.
Okay.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, operators report. Is Keith on there?
Says he is.
Alrighty, good evening.
Hey,
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, we can't see you.
I apologize for not being there, but you all should have a copy of our report for December. We showed 975 connections, 2 of those being vacant, received 66,857.68 in revenue. Beneath that is your gallons billed by user type, total gallons billed, 6,540,000 gallons. Beneath that, we showed your water production for the period ending December 20th, total gallons produced, 6,827,000 gallons, again, billed out to 6,540,000, accounting for 96% of the water. There was 1 leak in the district. We took the 6 bacteriological samples as required for the TCEQ, and those results were good. Beneath that is your wastewater treatment plant operations. Everything's within permanent there, currently at 67% of the permanent capacity. Beneath that, there on the reuse to the golf course, so obviously that number is considerably down from what you guys have seen in recent months. And that is at the request of the golf course. They have, I guess, a couple of leaks on their side of the line. So they have talked to Mario and said, hey, turn it off. We'll get with you when we're ready for water. So that's the reason that you see that reduction in the reuse.
So Keith, are you in contact with the golf course regularly now? Is that your job now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir. Myself and Mario, and primarily Mario's been talking with folks at the golf course, but yes, they've requested us to turn off the reuse for the time being.
Okay.
He's not gonna pay anything until he has.
Beneath that's just the note. I'm sorry?
We just had a comment from somebody. It's good.
From the peanut gallery.
All right, no problem. Beneath that's the summary there, the number of users by consumption. So 30 to 50, 10, in excess of 50, 4, and then in excess of 100 was the 2. Beneath that's the summary of your age receivables, the bulk of that being current in 30 days, so pretty good shape there. And then at the very bottom of the page is the graph showing your accountability. The following 2 pages is the DMR for the calendar month of December. Again, that third column in from the far right, all zeros down the page there, which is what we want to see. Again, just indicating that there's no violations, that the plant's in compliance. Outside of the RIP report, I don't really have a whole lot else to report other than Taylor and I had met out at Water Plant 3 since y'all's last meeting and discussed, I think originally there were some conversations to improve the MCC, the control building there at Water Plant 3. It's got that wood siding, pretty, lots of it's rotting away. It's in pretty rough shape. And so we did get some numbers together to address that control building. So to remove and replace all of the exterior siding with a hardy lap siding, caulk and paint the exterior. We've replaced the double doors. We've replaced the window unit, seal cracks inside. We'd install new insulation throughout the interior of the building. And then we'd install new paneling on the interior. Wouldn't be painted, but right now it's just open studs that are exposed. So all in, the cost on that would be $16,225. And so, I think really the thought there, at least, and Taylor, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think was just to try to spend some money to improve the structure. That the controls themselves are really in pretty good shape, and so the idea is if we can spend a little bit of money now to improve the structure, I think hopefully we can better protect the equipment that's there and hopefully kind of extend the useful life of the equipment there and hopefully get some good bang for our buck there.
Would this be bond money?
Yes. Yes, so we originally had in the bond.
That's what I thought.
I think it was 50,000, we had in the bond, and we were talking about replacing that building.
Right.
Then we started kind of discussing, it's like, the MCC's okay out there, let's look at doing this, as a repair, which I think is a sufficient repair because the MC's so good, and this price pretty much gives you a new building,
Okay.
in essence, but without the ticket price of spending $50,000.
Right.
So
Okay.
we're cutting it in half to be able to allocate that money other places that we know we need.
We know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Keith, on your first page, under LSGCD well permit, it says permit expires 12/31/22. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. So that's an annual permit. It runs on the calendar year. That's the Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District. So just being that I'm reporting December production, I'm still showing your 2022 permit term. We've been in talks with Lone Star over the last several months working on renewals. So everything's in process there. Y'all are in good standing with the Conservation District. No issues there. Next month we'll update the permit term and go from there.
Great.
Hey Keith, have you finished? Are you ready for questions, or you got more?
That is all I've got.
Was Mario or anybody able to get me a price on this this gate out here?
Yes, he did. Julie, he did get some pricing together, and I ran out the door again out of town, and I left that proposal.
Okay.
From what I recall, I think it was less than, it was pretty minimal. If it's something that the board wants to try to get moving, if y'all want to approve it not to exceed $1,000, I think that's more than sufficient. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. But if you guys are comfortable with that, then I can get with Julie offline, assuming that Davis and Paul are comfortable with that. And I'll get with Julie offline, and if it's less than 1,000, we'll pull the trigger and get it done.
Keith, I have a question. We have a
Yes,
very large sinkhole at 748 River Plantation, and I have. You want to see the picture?
Sure.
It's where that house was in the. So where the sinkhole is, there's a pipe sticking out, and water's coming out of that pipe. And you can't really see it. You can see our box there, and the box is okay, but the sinkhole's real close to the road.
748, down that one.
748.
If you go down here and go to Stone Mountain Drive, my street, and go to River Plantation, it's like a little circle there.
Okay.
It's right there.
Okay.
And it's that corner lot where they used to have all those trucks. Well, the pipe is sticking out, and it's deep. The sinkhole is really deep.
Okay.
There is another sinkhole.
Where is it at in location to the house?
If you're on that street and you're looking at the house directly, it's to the right,
Okay.
close to the street.
Okay.
It's a deep hole. You can't see it until you get right up on it, and then all of a sudden you look, it's really deep. There is also another one at, I think we've been working on it, on Stone Mountain. It's like 725 Stone Mountain, there's 728 Stone Mountain, and
Further down from you?
Okay.
Okay.
Jeremy Fritz's.
Not the one we just, another one?
No, it's up the road from me, sorry.
Okay, yeah, but
It's close to Vicksburg, if you're turning on
right,
Vicksburg,
it's
it's
another
right there.
one, a different one than the one we, okay.
And it's,
So it's the next street
it's
down
another
from where they did their repair work then.
so I think we need to look at both of those.
Okay.
So,
We go on.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I'll work with our guys in the field and Taylor, and we'll take a look at it and put it together and figure out what we do next.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion, if you want to approve me to approve a budget of $1,000, or expenditure of $1,000, up to $1,000 for the gate?
I make a motion that we approve up to $1,000 to add a gate.
Okay.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Okay, engineers report.
Alrighty. I apologize to you guys that I ran out of the office today and forgot reports. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I was a little embarrassed. Julie saved me by printing out you guys' report, so apologies on that note. Just a quick note on permits. We did begin working on the annual report for the MS4 permit that has to be submitted by March 31st. Moving on to design projects, I kind of broke it out now into joint projects and then just sole district projects. So the East Ditch FEMA work, I actually do have a pretty substantial update on that. We've been working with them. We've done an extension for 1 year for that work, and then we have initiated the process of doing a cost increase. Obviously due to inflation and things of that nature, we found several errors with the original plans as well that was able to show a proof of cost. Right now we have it at about $1.2 million that we're asking for them to upgrade to. Should they approve this cost increase, it would pretty much take care of all of the work and be paid through FEMA. Right now, it's up in the air. I don't have 50-50 as far as the possibility of them improving it. And talking to the person who is with TDM, who's kind of a go-between in the Texas Department for FEMA, he said cost of increases are usually a better chance than dealing with change in scope. So we didn't change any scope. We're doing the same repairs. Some of the engineering standards have obviously been updated, or we didn't agree with theirs, and so we've got about an 80-page report that we're submitting to them showing the cost changes and everything due to inflation. We've been listing historical bid prices and all that. So,
if I understand correctly, this was approved initially, and now we're looking for more money?
yeah, so initially what was approved, according to them, was based on a cost estimate basis. So Blau submitted a report. They had a cost estimate back in 2018 to do the work, and it came back and they approved it. And if construction came back more, that was not an issue as long as it stayed within, as long as it stayed within the scope of work that they had approved. They understood that the cost could change based on construction costs. And that's good. So it wasn't like a set amount, and there was no like district share or anything like that. It was like if they approve this amount, they're covering all of this amount. Additionally, they had set aside for doing such items like this, where we had to change the cost estimate, where we can actually request reimbursement for our work in regards to the work we're doing here, so you guys wouldn't be out that money as well. So we set up a specific task number for that, so that we can send in that bill when we finish this whole process.
Any idea when we would hear back from them on this?
Yeah, we did discuss that. The typical turnaround time is about 3 to 4 months. It could go as long as 6 months to a year. I mean, he was pretty clear, you know, you're working with the federal government at this point. You know, he said his review process for him to review it is about 3 weeks, and then it has to be submitted in front of FEMA for the official approval is when it gets bogged down a little bit. Another thing to note is that we have talked to the San Jacinto River Authority and the Army Corps of Engineers, and we are not required any permit to do maintenance on the channel.
Well, that's good.
We had been told by old administration that you needed a permit. That was kind of like a sticking point. Then we were told we had the permit, then we realized, hey, we don't have a permit. So we were panicking, and then so after working with San Jacinto River Authority, there was no permit required for, as long as we weren't changing any capacities or anything like that, we're just doing repairs, which is great. Then we submitted the whole scope, and we got an email, because you don't not record anything with those guys.
So what are we approved for now? If we're asking for 1.2, what are we approved for now?
We are approved
6?
for, no, $257,000, that's correct, yeah. So, nothing new on the other 2 items. Moving on to district projects, we will have the contracts ready for signature. Joey, I'll have to run those out next week, because I forgot those as well.
That's fine.
That's for the rehab project, so we can get that underway. Water plant number 3, we talked about the operator obtaining those proposals to repair that building. Water plant number 2, this has been an item that's been on there for a little bit. We are requesting authorization to begin design on that to upgrade those MCC panels. We do have the cost estimate listed right after the report for approximately $505,200 to do that work. That's the potential construction cost. Nothing new on Gunston Storm, and then also requesting authorization to move forward with Storm Sewer Phase 1 rehabilitation. So we've gotten all the videos, we've reviewed all the videos, we want to start putting together the plan and then proceed with bidding to begin those repairs. And the way we're tackling it is to take all the major repairs, sinkholes and everything like that, address those first, and there will be a secondary phase where we start lining and things like that for things. After looking at it, and it's in my best judgment to fix the major failures, get on them as fast as possible, and then address the minor stuff and things like that as we come to it.
Will this video help you look at this Natchez problem, whatever it is?
That was something that David actually brought up, and we're going to review the videos around that area to see if we see if there's anything that's telltale sign or anything.
I have a question about item 4, the Gunston Storm Sewer Sinkhole.
Yes, sir.
This seems to be really dragging its feet.
It has, and I finally got some questions from the contractor, and I had not returned because he was wondering about replacing driveways and things of that for the removal and replace, and I didn't get the email back fast enough to him. So okay. That's my fault.
What was the company you saw out here today?
Tritech.
Yeah, Tritech.
They were walking around on my street looking at, I thought they were looking at water lines or something, and then I saw them when we were leaving the neighborhood. They were down here picking up manholes with the manhole thing. And
yeah, so
you
have an ongoing contract right now to do the sanitary sewer phase 2 televising, and so they were probably looking at manholes and doing some inspections and things before they brought out cameras.
well, when I was sitting at home, they were walking in my front yard, walking around the yard with a shovel and a stick.
Okay.
And they did have green vests on, but then they walked around, then they left my yard, and we ended up seeing them down the street pulling up the manholes.
You didn't shoot them, did you?
No, but my dog wanted to buy them.
Okay.
I will touch base with them. They should be putting door hangers and things on
No,
your
they weren't doing
residence.
anything. Walking around.
Yeah, I apologize.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the authorizations for the design phase on the water well number 2, electrical upgrades, and storm sewer number 1 to begin the design?
I move we go ahead and approve those tonight.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to construction projects, you see the sanitary and storm, continuing to review those as they come in. Same with sanitary sewer clean and televised phase 2, we've begun reviewing those videos. I have the application number 2 in the amount of $22,112.78 attached that we recommend approval, and then the application number 3 in the amount of $9,020.93 that we recommend approval.
Do I have a motion to approve those payments?
I'll make that motion that we approve those payments.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the last item is the use of water plant number 1 in regards to watering the park. So, I think you were the one that proposed this
Yeah,
idea.
just a question.
So not a bad idea, and it actually got me thinking about the whole process as a whole. The reality is that y'all's groundwater is relatively cheap because you manage your own GRP, and Lone Star Groundwater Conservancy District, I believe, is like 8.5 cents per 1,000 gallons to pump water. Obviously, the non-potable water, we've talked about, the filtration is about $1 million to bring it up to par, but you do have water well capacity in which you could use water plants, not even using water plant number 1, you could use water plant 2 and 3 to water your thing. And so what you would do is, just like you would do at your home, you may have to either build a small building or somehow figure out the construction to put it within the water plant 1 site so that you have your controls and everything. You would place a backflow preventer, pressure valve backflow preventer to keep any backflow, and then you would just tie it into the existing sprinkler system that already runs from the original non-potable. You would cut that line, you would plug in it. There would be no way for flow to backflow. Those heads are supposed to be purple heads. They should be all changed out for regular heads. The likelihood that they're actually purple heads.
I don't think there's any heads.
I don't think
To
so
begin
either.
with.
They took them all
There's
away.
no-
Gotcha. If there's no heads, then you would need to place new heads, but versus repairing water well number 1, which would be upwards of $100,000 to bring a sprinkler system online, you potentially could spend a lot less than that to build a building control unit and backflow prevention and tie it into the unit to be able to do it. I kind of, finally, once I zoomed out and looked at it from just like, okay, let's make this as simple as possible, it became really clear when we started talking about it. It was like, okay, how do you use just this water well? And then it became, well, why don't we just use the existing water plants we have?
Yeah.
So.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
So just thoughts to think about if you guys like that idea. We will pursue getting a cost estimate put together for next meeting on what it would cost. We'll try to estimate how many sprinkler heads we think we'll need, and then talk to irrigation specialists on the building controls and all that stuff.
Well, you've got the boxes, I don't know what kind of, the control boxes that are around there. I don't know what kind of shit there. I know one of them is flat on its belly and all that stuff. The pipes hadn't been used in a while.
Yeah.
There's
gonna be
other
some
ones
stuff.
that all the wires have been
And
pulled out.
we'll have to talk about drainage too. A lot of the drainage stuff is gonna be clogged up. I mean, I'm all for, fixing it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I mean,
I think there's some other things to look at.
It'll be a heavy project when it comes to fixing all the irrigation existing, and I'm not sure the process an irrigation specialist would go through to do that. I'm sure they have their means and methods that they've done it before. But in terms of where you're spending your money, at least you're spending your money to fix that and do some controls versus bringing the water plant online or upgrading an effluent system to be able to provide it. You're more wisely spending your money.
Less expensive either way.
It's gonna be less expensive either way because you're automatically taking out $120,000 to put a water well online.
Yeah. I have a question about Mosswood. There's no update on it, and I understand that. But I drove over the bridge yesterday, and there's bags of concrete just laying on the street.
They're holding down the pipes.
So those bags
They're
of
waiting for it to
concrete,
get wet.
Those bags of concrete were what MOC put down for that water line going across, because when that sinkhole happened, it ended up busting that pipe and they had to reroute it over the line. They're waiting for, they were waiting for the sinkhole to get fixed so we can actually repair the line. Now that the sinkhole's actually fixed.
It's just a temporary.
Yeah, we need to reinstall on the outside of the guardrail where the existing metal pipe is. There's a ductile iron pipe that hangs off the side of the railing.
Okay.
So it all needs to be tied back in. But that was a temporary fix when that sinkhole was there. We were trying to get the sinkhole fixed prior to repairing the line.
You're saying that the county's fixed it now?
The county has dumped a bunch of concrete in.
Because at the last meeting, the people were saying it wasn't fixed. I don't know.
The definition of fixed is relative to the scenario in which you're referring to.
Yeah.
I agree.
Band-Aid. Think Band-Aid, Tom. Not fixed, think Band-Aid.
There's no longer a hole.
Okay. Well,
I can make
There
that,
will be another hole.
I can make that statement.
But this hole went away.
Just out of curiosity, can we put any kind of timelines on maybe when we can address the east ditch thing with FEMA or the storm sewers? I know we're looking, it sounds like maybe up to a year again to do anything on the east ditch possible. And what about storm sewers? Are we that far out on that?
No, we just authorized, you guys just authorized the design for the rehab of phase one, so we'll.
So we might be within a couple of months of.
Yeah, we're actively putting together, like, we're finishing up reviewing the videos, we're actively assessing the key zones that we're talking about are the most damaged, and I hope to have a request to advertise and bid at latest at your March meeting. I mean, luckily you guys meet later
It
than
seems
most
like
of
it's
us.
taken forever to go through this whole process to get to this
The
point.
ditches look nice.
Huh?
And we didn't have any problem the other day when we had that heavy
Flowed
rain.
really well.
Everything was moving.
There's no vegetation in there to
Yeah.
stop the flow.
Yeah.
Tom, it's certainly a little bit more longer than you're probably used to looking, but we are doing projects at a much greater scale. You know,
I think we're moving now. I mean, it seemed like
Yeah.
there for a while we were stuck in the mud.
well, you had to remember, we had to assess everything.
Yeah.
So we had to get to the point where we at least knew what was going on, and that's what we're coming to the end of. And you'll see a ramp up, and really when we're pushing, obviously doing the water plant, electrical upgrades, you know, the rehab, we're moving forward with the rehab phase one of the sanitary sewer, so you're gonna see a lot of construction happening very fast over this next year. So, that's it.
All right, motion to accept the engineer's report.
I make a motion, we accept the engineer's report.
Second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, release and settlement with Consolidated.
If we could talk about that in an executive session and come
Okay.
back to it, that'd be great.
Okay, okay. I'm assuming the next one you wanna talk about in executive session and come back to too? Damage to district facilities enforcement action? Okay. Authorize 2023 tax exemptions.
Okay, in prior years, the district has adopted a $25,000 over 65 for disabled exemption. And I prepared an order that's included in your packet to continue to adopt the same exemption. Just a reminder that we adopt the exemption early in the year every year so that we get that information to the appraisal district so they can take that exemption into account when preparing values.
So do I have a motion to authorize that?
Can we
Can we raise
raise it?
it?
I make a motion that we accept the,
Ask him. If it's a question, ask him. If you have a question.
Davis, what's the possibility or the repercussions if we wanted to raise that limit, that exemption?
It's certainly something we can look at. I'll tell you, I put it on the agenda in January in case there is any desire to change it, just because we do need to get the number to to the appraisal district early in the year. We could talk to Lauren and come up with an estimated cost, right? So anytime you increase an exemption, there's a corresponding loss in revenue
we also
to the
have-
district that has to be taken into account, and we can make certain assumptions about, what that would be based off of the number of over 65 or disabled accounts in the prior tax year. So
The reason I asked
we
the
can,
question
we can
is,
certainly take a look. That number of accounts is what we really need to be able to quantify the cost.
yeah, well, the reason I asked the question is the property values have escalated quite a bit here, so our evaluations are going up.
So are our
respectively.
costs.
Huh?
So are our costs.
What do you mean our costs?
Our costs of everything are going up.
Not to the same degree that.
Somebody on the fixed income.
Huh?
I would think there's a lot of older people, 65 and older. I think there
I
would be
think
a whole
the
lot of
majority.
those
There's
versus.
a lot of those in here, but also our population is getting younger too. I mean, we've got a lot more younger people in now than we used to have.
I was surprised that it was a dollar amount and not a percentage.
Yeah.
Seems like 10%.
It's a question, if everybody's happy with that, I just
Why
think.
the statutes are written that way, Carl, I just can't tell you. All I can tell you is under state law, we adopt the over 65 or disabled exemption as a dollar amount, and we adopt if we were to have a general homestead exemption, it would be on a percentage basis.
And this is just for the year, is that right? It has to be renewed
I'm
every
sorry,
year.
I don't know what's going on with the mic tonight. I just can't, I couldn't hear you there.
Is this just for this year, and then we'd have to renew it again next year?
Yeah, you do it every
Is
year.
it for this year?
Yeah. You renew it every year, you
Yes,
revisit
that's
this every year.
correct. Right, we renew it every year. We
Yeah.
renew it every year.
Okay. Okay,
How do
so,
they know if somebody's over 65? Is it?
because you would have the over 65 exemption on your property
They
taxes.
know that already, okay. Good.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, you have to pass that on to the appraisal district. Right.
yeah.
The appraisal district makes that determination, and then if any taxing jurisdiction adopts an exemption, then it's automatically incorporated.
And I handed them my tax.
How does the
When you sign up for your
taxing
homestead exemption,
district know you're
they know
65?
you're over
You
65.
file the exemption.
So,
You
well,
file the
you have
You have to file a new exemption?
But when you do that,
That's it. Well, you file one, and typically the appraisal district will, send out like a questionnaire, right, every year and say, do you still qualify for this exemption? But once you do it once, it's in place, the same way on your general homestead.
Okay,
And there's one appraisal district by state law in each county, and all of the taxing jurisdictions use that, the information from that appraisal district, so.
okay.
So do I have a motion authorizing what we have now, or do we want to table it?
I make a motion that we authorize the document.
25,000.
25,000.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Order levying additional penalty for delinquent taxes.
Okay, this is the 20% penalty that attaches to real property on July 1 that pays the cost associated with collection of delinquent taxes. So in effect, those delinquent taxpayers pay their own collection costs.
And that's what we're authorizing.
Yes.
So, if they don't pay it by July 1st, is that what it is?
That's exactly right. So this is the law firm, Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson, who does delinquent tax collection for you and for Montgomery County. And the way it works is they do get, taxpayers get a notice if they haven't paid. Remember, you're assuming there's not an issue with a protest or the time you have your bill or something along those lines. Your property taxes become delinquent on February 1st. And if they remain delinquent until July 1st, there is then an additional 20% penalty that attaches on July 1st.
Okay.
That is ultimately paid to the law firm that collects those delinquent taxes. And generally that's through a civil suit and, potentially foreclosure on the property.
Okay.
that sounds like that should be a monetary one and not a percentage. because there's a cost to prosecute someone as opposed to if you got a big house, a little house,
That's,
whatever.
the appraisal district sets all that, we don't.
Well, if they do, I mean,
I can tell you that it is a fee that is provided for by state law, and this is essentially the universal approach to this, to collection. Because otherwise, I mean, you could pay on an hourly basis, but it wouldn't be cost effective. Is all I'll say.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution affirming review of investment policy strategies and objectives and list of approved brokers and dealers.
Okay, Public Funds Investment Act requires that you have an investment policy and that you review it on an annual basis. Your investment policy has been prepared to track the statutory limitations, meaning essentially allow you to invest in what you are legally allowed to invest in. You, practically speaking, review your investments on a monthly basis in your bookkeeper's report. So there have been no changes to the statutory requirements, therefore no changes to the policy. Just a reminder, no legislative session in the past year, but the legislature will be meeting here very soon, and that'll be part of our review for this next year. But it's an annual requirement, and so we need to review it on an annual basis. And I put it on the agenda when your auditor is here because that's part of his review as well. So
We need to accept that, right?
yes, sir.
Okay, I make a motion, we accept the resolution.
Second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Authorize continuing disclosure filing.
This is another annual item. We ask for your authorization to complete continuing disclosure filing on the district's behalf. These are obligations that you have to your bondholders to complete both annual financial filings and updates to your offering documents, as well as to notify those bondholders in the event of what's called a material event. So, for example, if you missed a debt service payment or the financial condition of the district materially changed in such a way that the quality of their investment had been reduced. Things like rating changes and things of that nature. So we have a short window in which to do it, to notify those investors. We use what's called the Electronic Municipal Market Access System, EMA. And so we just ask for your authorization to complete these filings on your behalf on an annual basis so that you are in compliance with both federal law and your covenants to your bondholders.
Move we authorize it, the disclosure.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Executive session, we will need it. Oh, what?
Can I ask a question?
Oh, wait, Dee has a question.
Yeah, I have a question before you go in. Talking about the history of East Plantation and RPMUD, how about the minutes back then? There may be something in there. I mean, you still have the minutes here in the office, or where are they?
Well, yeah, they've all been brought back. They're all back there in the,
Okay, I mean, because that may tell you what the system was or what the reasoning was, going back from the 63 up to 78 when this became
someday when I
law.
have time, I'll go through.
Well, I mean, really,
I have
that's
insomnia one night.
that's about the only thing I can think of. I mean, sometimes there's quite a bit of information in these minutes and sometimes there isn't, but it's.
I'll try
What
asking
are you
Preston,
ultimately
but-
looking for, Dee, to
The
join the
reason-
two together, or?
Well, I mean, I would like to look at it too. Do I have to do like a open records request or, which I imagine I have to.
Probably, since,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, I'd like to go with somebody else that has a different, would be looking at it differently, just to see what it is.
Right, but you said you want to look at them for what purpose? What do you
Well,
want?
to find out what the deal was.
Why
I mean,
there
it's
was-
kind of
Just
ridiculous.
why,
We
just
have two
curious.
MUDs. Well, maybe we
Anything
can
going
make a
forward?
change. Yeah.
Do you want
we
me, do you want me to ask Preston, see if he knows anything Monday?
That'd be a good question.
No, we're actually meeting Monday.
Oh, you are?
We're actually
Okay.
meeting Monday,
Sure.
so I'll ask.
Find
He's
out.
been here a long time
He's-
too, I don't know
yeah.
that long,
So, can't hurt to ask,
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
so, I would put that on my agenda. So, okay, executive session, we are gonna have executive session this evening. We will be possibly voting on some things when we come out, but, it's probably gonna be a while,
It'll be a while.
so, yeah.
but break that other
We
thing.
go into executive session
That's
tonight.
all I need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hard as it is.
So, do we need Keith and Taylor to stay on, or
Okay, I guess we'll hit it.
No,
no? Okay.
You guys are letting me go?
Julie, this is Keith, if I can ask one.
Camera's on.
Okay. Oh, Denise can come back in.
Yeah.
You gotta open the door. Denise can come back in. So. Camera and microphone.
You there? Okay.
Alright.
No, she's out in the garage.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna call the meeting of the River Plantation Board of Directors back to session at 8:27, looks like. Okay? Okay.
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 The release and settlement of consolidated communications.
For $1,900. I make a motion, we accept that.
Okay. All,
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consolidated.
Oh, aye, I agree.
Okay. Alright.
Damage to district facilities.
We will hear them hardly at all.
Yeah, I think it's because you unplugged the speaker.
Action necessary to address the violations.
Do I have a motion to address the violations at Natchez to district facilities?
I make a motion that we address the damages to district facilities on Natchez.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the third item is the proposal for security cameras, taking into account the determination that needs to be made on the internet.
I make a motion that we get, we approve the getting security cameras. Julie is to select the best option and, for us to do that with
For the internet.
I second.
For the internet.
it, for the internet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And you'll be able to discuss that with East Plantation in your meeting?
That's it?
What else, Davis?
That it?
So that's all we have. I've checked them all off my list.
Alright.
All right.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
What's the date for the next meeting?
Whatever the fourth Thursday of February is.
I have
Or are there four?
here February
February 23rd.
23rd at 6:30.
Yep.
February 23rd at 6:30. I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
All in
I
favor?
second.
Yep, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Alright, see you guys.
thank you very
8:30.
much, everyone.
Later. It's 8:35. Can you get that plugged in so we can hear him?
The meeting will still be continuing,
Okay.
and so we just won't have adjourned yet, and I think you've got one more action, and we can also ratify it next month if we need to.
Okay, okay. The tree that fell on the fence on Ravensworth, they had repairs done. I don't remember what the price was.
It's $450.
$450. I need approval to authorize payment for that to the homeowner to reimburse them for the tree that was on district property that fell on their fence.
I'll make a motion that we approve payment for the tree that fell on the fence on Ravensworth.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do I have an opposed? Did you say aye? Or are you
I
opposed?
said aye.
Okay. Okay, all right, we had 5 for it, Paul.
I make a motion,
Very good.
we adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second for adjourning?
Second.
Okay. Meeting adjourned at 8:35.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Uh-huh, bye-bye.
Bye.
Now we're gonna go, I gotta go.